Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's going to be a really good show today as we do.
1 minute until showtime.
There we go. As we do computer and technology news. And yeah, we have a lot of great stories that we are going to go over, and a lot of them very, very important. Some of them more legalese than others, but very, very important that you know about this kind of thing. And then in later in the show, we're going to have on the Chief Gadget Officer over at Gazelle.com. And again, Gazelle.com, they were supposed to be on last week. They finally made it back on. And yeah, talk about all the ways you can get rid of a smartphone or any kind of device to get, first of all, cash for any turn-ins, or be able to purchase one, a refurbished model, for much, much cheaper than a new one. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for a lot here on Computer America. It's the show itself is going to be starting in about 10 seconds. So sit tight, and here we go.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@ComputerAmerica.com.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It is the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us, and I am your host, Ben Crossman. We are going to have a lot of fun on today's show because today we are going to be talking about a lot of very important matters and that are in the news. It's all news that happened either today or yesterday or over the weekend. And there's so much to go through it that the first part of the show we are going to dedicate solely to computer and technology news. And then later in the show, we're going to have on the head gadget officer over at Gazelle, Ms. Amy Rice. She's going to be joining us for a part of the show and talk about ways to responsibly get rid of your products and make sure to recycle, reuse, or just generally dispose of properly e-waste, because e-waste is turning into a really, really, really big issue, and it's something that we should really focus on. And then, of course, with the new iPhone 7 that just came out, and of course new smartphones during the holiday season, what to do with your old devices and your old phones when you replace them. Do you hand them down? Do you send them in? And yeah, as you know, if you've seen their commercials, Gazelle.com, they will, they're in the business of giving you cash for any trade-ins that you do. Very, very cool. And we are excited to have them on later in the show. But like I said, we're doing computer and technology news first. And before we get into that, just so everyone can know, if there's anything that you want to know about today's show, be it contests that we do, or just anything that happens on the Computer America Show, head on over to ComputerAmerica.com, where you can find every and anything that you could possibly want to know, all right there. And underneath today's show notes, we're going to have a link to, of course, our guests' websites and things like that, and also links to the articles that we do here on the show, and much, much more. So that if you hear something and you want to hear it again, or you just kind of want to see for yourself, we're gonna have all the links available in the show notes. As well as in the show notes, we also have the archives. You can find the video archives and of course the audio archives. And and that is, of course, besides all the other places that we are syndicated, including places like Google Play Music and iTunes, Stitcher, what have you. Anywhere you can find Computer America, you will find the archives there as well. Also, at ComputerAmerica.com, we also have all these links out to Facebook, Google, Twitter, YouTube, where have you, all these social media sites. And the cool thing about this is, if you go out and you find Computer America and you help support Computer America by following us on social media, then you are entered for a chance to win a contest here at Computer America. And this contest is very, very simple. Go out, find us on social media, and once you like us, then we will send you a message. And just that easy, you are entered to win for a good long time a prize from our friends over at Logitech. And Logitech, they are putting up a prize of the Keys to Go. It's a $70 value. Very, very nice Bluetooth keyboard that works with either iOS or Android. You kind of tell us when you win. And yeah, we'll get that sent out to you just like that. Very, very simple. And again, very, very easy to enter to win. Excited to bring that to you. And I think, other than, like I said a million times, check out computeramerica.com. But other than that, I think we're just going to jump right into computer and technology news. So without further, here we go. And today on Computer America's Computer and Technology News, we have many, many stories. And I think I want to start with this one because when I first read it, I became irreasonably irate, I think is the proper wording for this. Because, as an American, but no, as, someone who just believes that, hey, the Constitution has a lot of good parts in it. We should probably stick to that as closely as possible. And, when you see freedoms slowly eroding, technology offers us a lot of things that we just didn't have 30 years ago, or in this case, there's you're going to see what happens actually references things back to 1910. So over 100 years ago, law enforcement is misconstruing the law, or at least interpreting the law in the way that they want from 100 years ago to apply to technology that we find today. When cars were just starting to get in the hands of the every person, we now apply the technology of 1910 to the technology of 2016. Just crazy. But the story that I'm talking about, and please pay close attention because this is very, very upsetting. This one comes from Forbes, and Mr. Thomas Fox Brewster, who authored this, and it's crazy. So this is feds walk into a building and they demand that everyone's fingerprints to open their phones, or everyone uses they demand everyone's fingerprints to open phones. So they demand that they either take their fingers and push them on smartphones, or they take their fingerprints. We'll figure out later, but at any rate, that's what the search warrant said that the police could do. And if bells aren't going off in your head, the reason why that's bad is because that is essentially the Fifth Amendment being thrown out the window. So that's not the best thing in the world. But here we go. They're saying that what is believed to be an unprecedented attempt to bypass the security of Apple iPhones or any smartphone that uses fingerprints to unlock. And let's face it, more and more phones are getting biometric signatures. So fingerprints or other parts of the body, you can actually scan those and unlock your phones that way. They're saying that California's top cops asked to enter a residence and force anyone inside to use their biometric information to open their mobile devices. Now, Forbes found a court filing dated May 9th, 2016. So this happened back in May, saying that in Lancaster, California, they sought the Department of Justice was searching a Lancaster, California property. But there was a more remarkable aspect to the search, saying that authorization to depress the fingerprints and thumbs of every person who is located at the subject premise during the execution of the search warrant and who is reasonably believed by law enforcement to be the user of the device. And of course, that is located in the in the place that they served the warrant and falls within the scope of the warrant. So, written right there in the wording of the warrant was that anyone who take any phone that you find on the premise, and then anyone who you believe to be the owner of that phone, and it's pretty easy to interpret, this phone was in this person's pocket, so reasonably we can associate that guy, that person with, being the owner of that phone. And then they would take the phone out, turn it on, and then press every finger or their thumb onto the fingerprint reader until the device was unlocked. And of course, if the officers find an unlocked phone, or at least they have access to the unlocked phone, then any information found therein can be used against them. That is just craziness. So they're saying that this was signed off by U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, and that the government asked for even more than just fingerprints, saying that, quote, while the government does not know ahead of time the identity of every digital device or fingerprint that it will find in the search, it has demonstrated probable cause that evidence may exist in the search location, and needs the ability to gain access to those devices and maintain that access to search them. So for that reason, the warrant authorized the seizure of passwords, encryption keys, and other access devices that may be necessary to access the device. And it sounds, it sounds okay. It sounds like, well, these people obviously did something bad, so we need access to as much information as we can, and the information held within smartphones, within computers, within hard drives, that may contain evidence that they need to do whatever kind of search it is. Well, the problem is that the way that they did it. So legal experts were shocked at the government's request, saying, quote, they want the ability to get a warrant on the assumption that they will learn more after they have a warrant. Essentially, they are seeking to have the ability to convince people to comply by providing their fingerprint to law enforcement under the color of law, because of the fact that they already have a warrant. They want to leverage this warrant to induce compliance by people they decide are suspects later on. This would be an unbelievably audacious abuse of power if it were permitted. End quote. And yeah, that is the crux of the argument here, is that they don't know what evidence they're going to find, and they don't know who is really a suspect or who is really guilty until after they look at the hard drives, or they look at the phone, or they look at whatever it is they're looking at, and then they identify who the bad person is. And why that's a problem is that, well, if you're not a suspect, if you're not accused of any crimes, and then they force you to open up your phones or your hard drives or anything, and then they find evidence on you, and then they get you after the fact, then that warrant that was first issued that caused that whole chain of events should never have been issued in the first place. You can only kind of get warrants to retrieve information against people who are already accused of a crime. So yeah, and now we have word from Jennifer Lynch, who's a senior staff attorney at the EFF, or the Electronic Frontier Foundation, saying that, quote, it's not enough for a government to just say we have a warrant to search this house and therefore this person should unlock their phone. The government needs to say specifically what information they expect to find on the phone, how that relates to the criminal activity, and she would argue that they need to set up a way to access only the information that is relevant to the investigation. So yeah, the warrant has to be particular in how it describes the place to be searched and the thing to be seized in limited scope. Yeah, so the EFF is making a case that you should be able to search a phone if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt what you're going to find, and you just need to get in there and get it. That is not the scope of what happened in back in May of this year. What happened was more along the lines of, well, we don't know what we're going to find, but we think we're going to find something, and then we're going to charge people with what we find. And again, the right to not incriminate yourself, very, very strong in this case. So they're breaking a bunch of laws, and without getting any further into this, because this article goes on for quite a while, but I think that's the gist of it. And of course, they said that the DOJ declined to comment, and Forbes was able to contact a resident at the property in question, but they also refused to provide details of the investigation. So yeah, and now we kind of have the stuff that happened with the San Bernardino shooter. We have Apple and all the other tech companies coming together and saying, we do not have to give over our customers' information just because law enforcement says so. We do not even have access to the information that people keep on their phones. It's time and time again, law enforcement seems to really be on the side of, well, we want the information on the phone, and we're going to get it no matter what, even if it's unconstitutional. Awful thing to see. And the only, and because we're Computer America here, and we like to try to give advice or ways to protect yourself in cases like this. First of all, don't do anything bad. But second of all, just privacy is not admission of being guilty. Privacy just means you enjoy privacy. And the easiest way seems to be don't use biometric scanners. We have recommended them on the show before. I know I personally still use mine. They are so convenient, and they are starting to work more and more often. That the failure rate is so low, but at the same time, the law enforcement agencies, just like they can draw blood from you, just like they can take a DNA swab from you, uh, starting to look more and more, at court case after court case after court case, unfortunately, like they consider your fingerprints or any other biometric data that you may use to unlock a device, be a fingerprint scanner or iris scanner or whatever it may be. They seem like they have access to any part of your body. So, if it's your fingerprint, if it's your DNA, if it's whatever, they're going to have access to it. So if you're trying to protect yourself through passwords, do not make those passwords, crackable by anything that is considered biometric. But if you are protected through a 6-digit PIN, 4-digit PIN, what have you, then you do not have to give any passwords over to any hard drives or anything like that. Again, you can't incriminate yourself. So protect yourself with just a password. And if you're really worried about something, or, again, if you're just worried about your privacy in general, just use a PIN code. It's, it's probably the safest way and the best way, more so than fingerprint scanners. Of course, like I said, I still use them. They're so convenient. And, it's not even like I have nothing to hide. It's just that, again, convenience. Convenience. It is what it is. But at any rate, they are not secure for a lot of reasons. Even hackers have found ways around biometric information even easier than most other information. So, yeah, finding out more and more that it's not the most secure way to keep information. But with that being said, let us go to this next one. And while that was a little scary, why don't we move over to something a little cool? And by a little cool, I mean a lot cool. And if you haven't seen this thing, definitely I recommend go take a picture or go look up a picture of this thing. We talked about it before it was a reality, but it just opened up, I want to say like last month. And now it's good to go. And it is helping search for alien life. This is really cool. This is from Popular Science, Miss Samantha Cole, and they're saying that the world's biggest radio telescope joins the search for alien life. Finally, we can finally see if those aliens are really out there. So China's FAST telescope lends an ear to Yuri Milner's Breakthrough Listen project. So, scientists searching for extraterrestrial life have added a big ear to their arsenal, saying that this week the National Astronomers Observatories of China announced that they'll be joining Breakthrough Listen Initiative, a $100 million search for alien life funded by Russian billionaire Yuri Milner. And the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope, or FAST, in southwest China still has the new telescope smell, having completed construction in July. Oh, so like 2 or 3 months ago. My bad. But yeah, it was meant to be an alien eavesdropper from the start, and its directors claiming that the potential to discover an alien civilization will be 5 to 10 times that of current equipment. So very, very, very sensitive. So FAST joins Breakthrough's roster of research telescopes and devices, including the Green Bank Telescope in West Virginia, one in New South Wales, one in Australia, and one in California. So all over. We're listening all over. So FAST is not only a powerful telescope in its own right, and again, this is the part where I really hope that all of you are going out to look at pictures of this thing, because it's 500 meters wide, or about 1,600 feet wide. The dish can detect very weak radio signals and conduct sensitive surveys of the galactic plane and perhaps the whole sky, but will serve as a follow-up facility for weak detections at other sites. And of course, this may include findings such as the SETI project. So the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And they're saying that private partnerships like this could have an advantage over the ones with more government oversight, saying that the US and China historically don't play well together, of course. And when it comes to space program, eyeing one another as a security threat and locked in a race to become the world's space leader, but the entire scientific community benefits when collaborations happen on this kind of scale. So yeah, with 3 of the world's biggest radio telescopes dialed into billions of radio frequencies, Earth is listening more closely than ever. And again, the FAST telescope, 500 meters wide, it's all in kind of like a bowl shape or a dome flipped upside down, and it's taking a bunch of radio signals and a bunch of radio towers, bouncing them all and focusing them into one point so that it can, read and break them apart and see what, kind of where they originate from. And yeah, this is the biggest one of its size. It is humongous. And hey, it's an awesome radio telescope that is going to finally, hopefully, try to get some kind of evidence of extraterrestrial life. It's not holding my breath personally, but we are now more tuned in and sensitive than ever before, as the article said. So very, very cool. And I think we're gonna stick with the cool, because I have another spying one, and it was like the UK admitted to spying, but they're not sorry about it at all. But instead of that one, I think we are going to jump on over to there we go. I think we're gonna jump on over to MIT. And yeah, they just broke a record that was set in 2005, showing they increased the record of plasma pressure to more than 2 atmospheres, which is a 16% increase on the previous record set in 2005. And just what am I talking about? Well, here we go. They're saying that MIT nuclear fusion record marks latest step towards unlimited energy. And yeah, that's the hope. And so yeah, we're going to get into this a little bit. But the main takeaway is that we're closer. We're not there yet, but it's looking like a promising breakthrough. So, of course, like I just said, MIT just set a 16% increase on the previous record set about 10 years ago, where they reached a temperature of 35 million degrees Celsius and lasting for 2 seconds. So 35 million degrees Celsius, that is crazy, crazy hot. And 2 seconds, not bad. Not bad at all. Saying that the breakthrough was presented at the International Atomic Energy Agency's Fusion Summit in Japan on Monday, which is today, by the way. So they're saying that successful fusion, if this was ever a reality, means getting more energy out than is put in, and this requires a combination of pressure, temperature, and time to pass a critical value, at which point the reaction becomes self-sustaining. So this remains elusive by MIT record. This remains elusive, but the MIT record shows that using very high magnetic fields to contain the plasma may be the most promising route to practical nuclear fusion reactors. So yeah, and they had a couple of scientists who were, this particular one was from Princeton, and they're saying that the record plasma pressure validates the high magnetic field approach as an attractive path to practical fusion energy. And that's the thing is, and the article kind of goes into, some of the implications, but the implications are very, very simple in that if you have a fusion reactor and you can get it to start generating energy, or at least more energy more energy out than you put in, then that is essentially free energy. Because right now, through coal, through gas, through solar, through anything like that, a lot of energy is wasted. Although solar and renewable energy, that's the efficiency just isn't there for those. But for anything like nuclear fission or things like that, it takes a lot of energy in, and then you get a certain amount of energy out. And there's always that loss, be it to heat, be it to radiation. You always have that loss. And while it may not be the most efficient thing, it's it's kind of the way that we get energy, be it energy that's stored in solar in solar cells, energy that's stored in coal, energy that's stored in oil, many different ways that you can get energy out, but there's always that deficit. The minute fusion works, which is kind of again what powers our sun, the minute you get that to work is the minute that you start getting more energy out than you put in, and of course you can recycle that over and over and over again, essentially giving you free energy. So instead of having to pay the power company, however many hundreds of dollars that you pay them every single month, instead of paying the power company that amount, what if you had enough of these fusion power plants to essentially give you unlimited energy for forever, where you just plug something into the wall and it just works. You don't have to pay, you don't have to you don't have to meter, you don't have to monitor. It doesn't matter how much energy you use, because it is clean, it is excessive, and you will always have enough. Like there's really no downsides, and fusion really would change the world. Like that's kind of why companies such as Boeing, of course, is helping to is working on it. Oh man, there was a bigger one that does a lot of military contracts. Yeah, wow, I'm drawing a blank on them. But yeah, no, so many people, so many scientists are working on this, and yeah, they're kind of hoping that if they can get this to work, like I said, it's going to change a lot of things in the field. So yeah, with that, and that's one of the cooler projects that I've seen. So I was happy to find that and see that they set a new record that was, again, a decade in the making. So how about we move over to all right, yeah, how about we do this one? And it's Apple. Yeah, there we go. Apple hires a Carnegie Mellon professor to improve its artificial intelligence. And of course, this is very important. This is very important. Yeah, wow. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, folks. I'm having a little problem here. All right, so, all right, yeah, hopefully that's nothing really to worry about. But yeah, yeah, there we go. Ooh. All right, so, oh wait, that's, and sorry, just getting our guest on from Gazelle. And yeah, so Apple hires a Carnegie Mellon professor to improve its artificial intelligence. And yeah, it's this is very cool, because of course artificial intelligence seems to be the way that a lot of these companies, smartphone included, including Google smartphone, what have you, they all are trying to use artificial intelligence to navigate phones in the future. So we see this with Alexa, we see this with Siri, we see this with Google. They all have dreams that the best way to navigate all the information that you can get through your phone or through a smart device is going to be through an artificial intelligence, because it's just going to be too complicated at some point to use a mouse and a keyboard. The most efficient way is going to just be to ask for something, and your system just delivers it to you just like that. Very simple. And yeah, it seems like Apple has brought on, again, a professor to help it work. And this is by John Fingus from Gadget, saying that Apple, of course, isn't letting Samsung's acquisition of Viv go unanswered, saying that they hired Russ. That's a weird last name, so I'm not even going to try it. But yeah, Russ, who's a computer science professor at Carnegie Mellon University, as a director of artificial intelligence research, and saying that he isn't giving up his schoolwork, saying that he may well be publishing research at the same time as he's upgrading your iPhone or your Mac. So the hire could make a big difference in Siri, which has been criticized for evolving relatively little compared to services like Google Assistant. And I'll say, because Siri, she had a couple of key updates, but over the course of her development, she's always been in beta. I don't think she ever was released fully from beta. And Google seems to really be, kind of edging Siri out. And then, of course, Alexa is just getting functionality, it seems like almost weekly at this point. So the AI helper may develop a better understanding of what you're asking and could be better at handling less explicit or follow-up instructions. Saying that, however, Apple's use of artificial intelligence isn't just limited to voice commands. They're saying that iOS uses machine learning for object and face recognition in its Photos app. And of course, this new hire from, again, Carnegie Mellon could be exactly that, where, and this is with iOS 10, if you take, it goes through your photo album and it knows the difference between dog, cat, person, at some point, even names, very, very simple like that. It has that ability. So again, this hire is to further develop those kind of artificial intelligence capabilities. So, of course, Carnegie Mellon might not be entirely happy, saying that Uber spent a while poaching from the school's robotics lab, and now the university has to worry about Apple luring away top talent. So, while that may not be such a bad thing if it leads to more practical applications for AI, it may limit academic studies in the near future, which has always been a problem between private and academic. Is, of course, you earn more money in the private sector, but academic, there's always that need to teach the next generation. All right, so folks, we're about to head off to a break. Stay tuned. As we come back, we have the guests on the line, and we are about to come back to Gazelle.com to talk all about what they have to offer. So stay tuned here on Computer America.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
No, you don't place bets with a Facebookie. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Newtone model LA600WH MP3 customizable door chime mechanism. Yeah, it is a doorbell. It hangs on a wall, looks like a door chime housing, works with wired or wireless front and rear doorbell buttons. But the Newtone MP3 doorbell offers some wonderful flexibility. It comes with 8 MP3 files that sound like authentic chimes, including their vibrato and decay. You choose one for the front door and one for the back door, or you make a USB connection to substitute your own MP3 files. Fight songs, rock songs, up to you. Bottom line, a Newtone MP3 customizable door chime lets you change the sound of either door to a buzz, a ding, or a chime, and more. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Hello, and welcome back into the Computer America Show at 33 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And yeah, we did computer and technology news in the first segment. A lot of fun, and we covered a lot of great stories. But now we are going to switch gears as we head on over to talk to a company called Gazelle.com, and I'm sure you've heard of them before. They have indeed been on the show here at Computer America before, and they've also been covered by publications such as the Wall Street Journal, ABC News, the New York Times, and CNN. A really, really great service for, you're going to notice a theme in this interview, I think, going on a little, later on, about how it's not just about, old devices, how you can get money for them and buy devices that are refurbished, for cheaper than new, things like that. But you're also going to notice an undertone of, well, not even an undertone, but recycling, and what to do and what to properly do with devices when their use has kind of ran out. And you shouldn't just throw it away in a trash can. And maybe our guests will have better ideas on what you can do with those devices. So help me welcome on the show. This is we have Miss Amy Rice here with us, who is Gazelle's gadget expert. And again, you can check them out at Gazelle.com. And so, Amy, welcome on to the Computer America Show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you too. Yeah, and again, thank you so much for coming on. And sorry about last time that you were on. That you were on, but weren't on. But happy to have you here now. And I think a good place to start this whole thing for our listeners is just, what does Gazelle do?
Sure. So we classify Gazelle.com as a consumer electronics, what we call re-commerce website. So it's really the best place on the web to buy certified pre-owned electronics, such as laptops or phones, and also trade in old devices and get cash for used iPhones or Android tablets and phones.
Yeah, and just like you were saying, if you head on over to Gazelle.com, you make it very apparent right there at the home screen. You either buy or you sell these devices, and of course everything is handled online just like that. And a little bit later on we're going to talk about these eco ATMs. But so let's say someone has an old phone or an old laptop or an old tablet, or maybe even a new one that they just aren't using as much as they thought they would. Why should they consider trading or selling in trade in or selling these gadgets instead of putting it up on Craigslist, or worse off, maybe even just throwing it in the garbage can?
Sure. So we actually firmly believe that our business is built on trust, and we provide really convenient options for consumers. So, with Gazelle.com, we found that there's a lot of people that like to shop online and transact from home, even from their couch. So we are providing a really convenient service for them with really fast cash options for consumers to make money immediately from their old devices. The situation with maybe you've got a Samsung 7 device and you need to get rid of it, or, you want to try and trade it in, rather than throwing it away and maybe causing an accidental fire in your house. Properly recycling of it and disposing of it is a great way to protect yourself and also protect the environment. So we think that by using Gazelle, who's proven and trustworthy, and we've got a lot of great customer support stats on their website, we think it's a great place to do it. And one of the things that we found is really only 7% of devices are actually sent to official recycling programs.
Mm-hmm.
But 64% get a new life in the secondhand market. So what's great about what Gazelle really does is that not only are you trading in your device to us and getting cash, but we're actually able to reuse that device. You'd be surprised at how many wonderful ways a device can be reused. A lot of times nowadays children are getting new phones for their use, and a lot of times they're older generation iPhones, which is a great reuse of those phones.
For sure. Yeah. And, the issue of e-waste, it's something that I feel like, at least I know here on the show, we haven't brought up much, but we probably should more often. And it's, well, it may not be strictly e-waste, but a family member of mine just purchased a new fridge, and they had the old one. The old one was, 10, 12 years running. So it was definitely an old fridge, but it was still working. It was still keeping things cold. And when they offered to, of course, take away the old fridge when they brought in the new one, my family member asked, what happens to the old fridge? And they're like, well, we're supposed to say we send it to an e-waste and they recycle it and they break it down and they do it safely. Turns out that they just throw it in a landfill. Like it's,
Oof.
I think when people even say that, this is a proper e-waste recycling center, in a lot of cases, they just, kind of take your money or take your item and just, scrap it or throw it into a landfill. Like properly disposing of it is not the easiest way. But hey, refurbishing it or sending it into a place like Gazelle, at least there it's going back into the marketplace, even as a refurbished item. So definitely good there. But I mean, Gazelle, I've seen this firsthand, and sometimes people walk in with a 15-year-old HP computer or gateway computer. Is there anything you won't accept? Like, is there anything too old, or is there anything that you won't accept or sell?
Yeah, there are a variety of older devices that we don't accept on Gazelle.com. Because one of our pillars for consumers is being able to offer that incentive. So there are some older devices that we don't sell, and you can easily go to Gazelle.com and search for your device, and if it's not on there, we don't sell it. What we do offer, especially now, is we have a sister company called EcoATM. And you may have seen these Gazelle EcoATM kiosks inside your local mall, your local Walmart, your store. And these machines will actually accept older devices than Gazelle.com would. So you do have the option of going into a store and transacting with an EcoATM kiosk to determine if that's the best place to recycle your device. And then, sometimes, a lot of times with these really, really older devices, your city or your state perhaps would throw a e-waste recycling drive where you can then, turn in those old, big, clunky computers into those drives and seek to do right by the environment that way.
Very, very good advice. And yeah, EcoATM, I forgive my ignorance, but I remember seeing them. We have one here at the local mall, and I actually turned a phone in, and the whole thing is, put the phone in, say what you have, get cash out right there. Very, very simple. But like this partnership, is it new? I mean, did EcoATM? I'm sorry, was EcoATM started by Gazelle, or was the partnership just recent?
Yeah, very, very recent. So EcoATM was a startup based in San Diego, and the company was acquired by Outerwall, which owns Redbox and Coinstar. And then in the fall of 2014, maybe even 2015, Outerwall also acquired Gazelle. So now Gazelle and EcoATM are sister companies, as a standalone business really focused on recycling of electronic devices and allowing consumers to purchase certified pre-owned devices. So they're now run under the same business.
No, and of course they both have essentially the same goal. So it's, obviously see the direction there. Very, very cool.
And different value propositions, right? Because there are people that like to transact in person. They like to shop in a mall, and so the EcoATM kiosks are a great way to do that. They provide that instant cash option. And then we also know that there's a segment of consumers that like to shop online and don't want to deal with going in person to do their transactions. And so Gazelle.com is a great alternative for those consumers.
Definitely. And so let's talk a little bit about the the buyer side of it, because that's obviously the other half of Gazelle's business. And I think personally, I haven't really been burned by a refurbished device, but when you say something is refurbished, that's obviously less than new but better than used.
Right.
So why should refurbished gadgets be considered for consumers?
Sure. So specifically at Gazelle.com, all of our devices sold through buy.gazelle.com are what we call Gazelle certified, meaning that they go through a rigorous 30-point inspection to ensure that they are in top functioning order. Each item is then rated certified like new or certified good, which ensures that the phones are fully functional, restored to factory settings, and are available to all major carriers. And what's great about purchasing a device from Gazelle is that there's no strings attached. No contract extensions are needed, no hidden fees, no requirement to stay or switch to a new carrier. Just really straightforward pricing based on the value of the device. We give people to a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if the consumer ends up receiving their phone or their laptop and is not satisfied with their purchase for any reason, we offer a full refund, no questions asked. And we've got a really terrific support team that helps people with that. And we found that these pre-owned devices are really perfect for families seeking the first device for their children, individuals needing a phone after breaking one midway through their carrier contract, or really tech enthusiasts wanting a really high quality device without the cost and hassle of a brand new phone, because we all know that those can run you upwards of $600.
Yeah, no, it's you say upwards of $600, and I think the latest iPhones are $700-800. And actually, early you brought up something a little bit more topical. That obviously Samsung Galaxy Note 7s, they are being recalled en masse. How is Gazelle kind of handling that? Because in terms of desirability, I mean the Note line was on par with the latest Apple. I mean, people wanted them left and right. But now that they are a bit of an explosive hazard, I guess, what is Gazelle doing with these phones?
Yeah, so what we always do with any new phone is we have what we call sort of the moratorium on the devices, where we won't accept them right away, usually between 60 to 90 days, depending on the device. So there is a time where we won't accept the devices because they're too new. And the thought is people are purchasing the devices, and the carriers that they purchase them from usually have a money-back guarantee. And so I think that the same thing applies in this situation. I think consumers' best bet are, going back to Samsung. I know Samsung now, as part of their recall process, are offering incentives for consumers to, turn in their device and get a new one. And so I think the best bet for consumers now with this is to go there. But say they're not, say they turn in their device and their options are limited, or they don't like any of the options the carriers are providing, they can get their money back from the carriers or whoever they purchased the Note 7 from. And then they can also go to buy.gazelle.com and maybe purchase an older generation iPhone, purchase an iPhone 6S using that money that they saved from turning back in their Note 7.
Definitely. And what would you say, of course is going to vary by condition and things like that, but how much of a savings can one kind of expect? Of course, 6S being last generation compared to a 7, but what kind of savings are you looking at with a refurbished versus a brand new from the manufacturer?
Oh, goodness, tough question, because you're right. It really does depend on, make, model, condition. It depends on, the carrier that you choose. We also offer a lot of promotions. So, right now we're offering consumers $10 off their first order if they sign up for our email service. Let's say they're looking for an iPhone, on AT&T, for example, and they're looking at, the 6S Plus, which is a pretty great device. You can get one that is, 16 gigabytes for less than $500. And so if the original MSRP is close to $800, you're looking at at least $200 savings based off MSRP.
Right. Yeah. And of course, if you don't mind that, it's kind of coming through a different channel. And of course, someone else touched it at some point. I'm not saying it's dirty. It's just, someone else has touched it, but it's still, a perfectly good, well-working device. And let's give a little bit of, a consolation to anyone who may be selling a phone and they don't feel comfortable, wiping it completely, getting all their personal information off. Maybe they have a holdup about what potentially could end up in the hands of someone else. What kind of process do you go through when you get a device? Do you do anything to kind of protect the seller?
Yeah, so we really encourage consumers to prepare their device for second life prior to trading it in, which includes data wiping and detaching them from cloud services. We have a lot of resources on our website that help consumers understand that. We actually have a lot of what we call ISO requirements and certifications, which are, information security management processes and, responsible recycling standards that we adhere to. So we're also really good at just ensuring that there's a lot of trust and integrity behind both Gazelle and Gazelle Eco ATM to really assure consumers that we do the right thing by them when they send us their device.
Yeah, very, very important. I mean, we've actually reported on stories where, I don't even recall the person who did it, but they were selling refurbished, like tablets, and it was coming with preloaded, inappropriate apps and content, and it was, and of course people just hand it over to the kids, like you said. It's a great option, but you definitely don't want someone else's information in the hands of someone else. So good to hear that is definitely a consideration. All right, so how do you ensure that, of course, the security of any data that was left behind? They're saying, phones is one thing to restore to factory settings, but iPads, laptops, tablets, things like that, it can be a little bit harder. Do you do anything special with, let's say, laptops or tablets?
I don't know. I'd have to look at that, but I do know that we've got. We believe that Gazelle and Gazelle Eco ATM kiosks are the best places for consumers to trade in their device,
right?
Because we really do have stringent security measures throughout the trade-in cycle to, ensure that we've got that we're accepting devices that we should be accepting, that we are keeping consumer safety top of mind. And I think that just the fact that we've been in business and as successful as long as we can, it sort of shows that we are walking the walk when it comes to our mission and protecting consumer safety.
Definitely have a good track record, because I do not recall any any scandals in the news concerning Gazelle. So definitely good there. All right, so we've been I don't want to say beating around the bush, but we've been talking about it only slightly. The Eco ATM is kind of the the instant gratification of the Gazelle selling process. So why don't we talk about the Gazelle Eco ATM specifically? So where can where can people find them? What is it, and how do they use it?
Yeah, so Gazelle Eco ATM kiosks are automated machines that really make it easy and convenient for people to sell back devices. So they're convenient. They are located in malls, large retailers such as Walmart, grocery stores such as Kroger, and the trade-in process typically takes 3 to 5 minutes to complete. We call them instantly rewarding because we do provide you with true instant cash payments, not a check, not a PayPal gift card, but true cash.
Right.
And they're safe. They feature state-of-the-art technology to make selling devices safe and secure. We installed the first machine in September 2009. And as of June of this year, there's over 2,000 kiosks in the U.S. And so how it works is the person goes up to the machine, starts the transaction, they provide their device to the kiosk for initial evaluation. And so the machine itself will actually identify the device from its visual inspection, and it will present a power cord, a USB or a lightning cable, for example. It will ask the consumer to plug in the power cord, so then it can do the internal inspection. And during this internal inspection, it's pulling off memory size and carrier, and also confirming, for example, that your Find My iPhone feature is turned off, which means it's ready for resale. And once it goes through that process, it'll present you with the price. And if you accept the price, you sign some terms and conditions. We ensure that your identity is you. So we ask for your ID. We take pictures of you at the machine to match your photo with your ID. We take your thumbprint verification as part of a digital signature, and then the cash is dispensed. And if you decline our offer, the kiosk returns your phone, tablet, with ease, no problem. It's right back into your hand. So,
yeah,
super easy and convenient.
I mean, that whole process that you just described, not even the easiest thing to do in person. Try going on Craigslist and try to get, all that information, all that reassurance, not the easiest thing in the world. And, it sounds like you've, at least Eco ATM has really kind of streamline the process of making sure that that phone is not just water damaged, it's not just a shell, it's not just a piece of paper that looks like an iPhone on paper. What happens if, let's say, the screen is cracked, but everything else is okay, or there's some malfunction and it identifies something? Like, will it reject something, or will it change its offer based on what it finds?
Yep, it does change its offer based on what it finds. So our scanners inside the machine are able to determine make, model, and condition. So we are able to discern if the screen is cracked, if it has a lot of visual damage. And so in that case, we would just offer a lower price because it's not in excellent condition. It may be classified as good condition instead.
Right. No, and it's definitely good to remind the listeners that, because some may be put off the fact that, let's say you do have a cracked screen. Cracked screens aren't the end of the world, and it may prevent someone from going and trying an Eco ATM just because their screen is cracked. But it sounds like they would still accept it, just for obviously a bit lower. So very, very cool.
Exactly.
And there, I mean, obviously iPhones are the big ones in demand, but can you turn in tablets and Android phones at Eco ATMs?
Yes. Yep. So we accept phones, tablets, and actually MP3 players as well. So the super old devices, iPods, for example. But yes, the variety, we actually, I think right now we're accepting over 5,000 different types of devices. So lots of options, and that's what's really great about the Gazelle Eco ATM kiosks, is there's a ton of technology in the machines to really help service consumers best.
Perfect. And of course, the name Eco ATM means that there's obviously something with with the environment and eco-friendly. I guess, how does and you kind of touched on this before, but how does Gazelle positively impact the environment? I mean, do you guys have any kind of stats that show how many phones kind of ended up in your hands instead of landfills, or any kind of numbers like that?
We don't have those numbers,
Right.
but Eco ATM has a network of recycling partners, and as a result of our R2 certification, we found that devices collected in our kiosks are either repurposed or responsibly recycled, which is really great. We have a network of buyers that really help us ensure that we are able to, dispose of those devices effectively and help consumers feel good about doing the right thing for the environment.
Right, yeah, and I was just poking around on the Eco ATM website, which, by the way, ecoatm.com. Definitely check that out as well. And they're saying that I thought it'd be fun to go through some of these numbers, and they said they've collected 3 million devices, and they've collected 500,000 pounds of devices. So they put in 3 space shuttles. I don't know if that makes it easier to understand, but no, 500,000 pounds of material not in landfills, 70,000 pounds of copper, and 1,500 pounds of silver, of course, being recycled. So eco in every sense of the word. Very, 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 very positive impact for disposing and recycling of smartphones and things like that. So very, very cool. All right, yeah, and we don't have much time. Amy, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to tell our listeners, or any kind of message you want to leave them all with? Maybe go check out Gazelle.com.
Yeah, I would just say that both together, Gazelle and Gazelle Eco ATM kiosks, we're really providing consumers with real cash, real fast, and the best options whenever it comes to buying and trading in certified pre-owned electronics. So we've got a really good commitment to delivering convenient consumer solutions, depending on the preference of our customer, and doing the right thing for the environment. So we encourage you to visit Gazelle.com and ecoatm.com to learn more.
Well said. And Amy, thanks again for being on the show. I know it took a few times, but I'm glad we finally did. And
no, thank you for having me. This was great.
My pleasure. And everyone, there are links to the show note that'll be up on our homepage for like the next 10 days. And then, of course, you can find it in the archives. But yeah, no, go check out Gazelle.com if you are looking to buy or sell a smartphone. It's going to be just that easy. So again, Amy, thanks for being on. And, always welcome to come back on when you have something new or anything to talk about. Please come on back on to the show to talk about it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right.
We will do that.
All right. And have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
All right. And again, that was Amy Rice with Gazelle.com. Check that out again in the show notes. And with that being said, that pretty much wraps up the Computer America show today.
90 seconds.
If you didn't get a chance, go check out our archives of today's show, where we talked about computer and technology news in the first half hour. And yes, we covered things from the Fifth Amendment to fusion energy to Apple hiring a new professor. So, we had a lot of fun. And then if you listen to only a portion of that interview, please check out, again, the interview from Gazelle, where, again, buying or selling could not be easier with Gazelle.
60 seconds.
Not even paid to say that either. I've just used their service before, and it's just been that easy. All right, and for everyone else, please tune in tomorrow. We have another great show planned for you. We have shows every day this week. And tomorrow on the show, we have a company called Impossible Foods. And yeah, we're going to have the Chief Communication Officer of Impossible Foods. So tune in to hear all about what they have to offer. It's going to be a lot of fun here on the show. So until tomorrow, everyone, hope you have a great Monday. The week is just starting, and there's going to be a lot more to come. So tune in every day this week to hear much, much more. So with that being said, have a great day, everyone, and see you tomorrow afternoon. Until then, hope your hard drive never becomes floppy.
10 seconds.
Craig. Everyone, have a great day. Bye, everyone. And everyone listening on our video portion, thank you for joining us. And yeah, you too. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Whole new show.